All right, good evening. It's bourbonblog.com. We're live with Jackie Zykan, master taster at Old Forester. How's it going, Jackie?
It's going really well. How are you doing?
Good. Great. Always a pleasure to have you on. And show us that incredible bottle you have in front of you. I know it's someplace close by. Aha! Look at that. It's the Old Forester Birthday Bourbon. Seems like it's always a celebration of Forester, but when it comes to the birthday time of year, it's a little tougher to get those sometimes, and we have to really look for those, right?
Definitely. I know there will be people lining up outside the distillery, I'm sure, waiting for it. And we all know George's birthday by now, right? It's
That's
September
right.
2nd. So that's
That's right.
the target date to get it out there. But it's always well worth it. You know what I mean?
Oh
And we're
yeah.
very grateful that people love us so much. So
Well, I'm glad to be tasting today with you, and excited to learn more about the Old Forester. We've been following that story. Of course, this is the 21st release of the birthday bourbon. So, you know, the joke I made a little earlier was now it's at least in the U.S. it's old enough to drink itself.
that is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
So we've released it every year.
I got a smile. I didn't get much laughter from. She heard the joke earlier. That's why.
I did. That's why. That's why. All good.
But it's great. No, we definitely are excited to try this, and tell us about this year's release. This is exciting.
Yep. So this was 119 barrels that all aged on the 8th floor. So it's the highest floor of the G warehouse. All of these barrels were matured together in ricks that were right next to each other. Sometimes we batch from lots that are kind of spread out, but this one all kind of lived in that space. And it's proofed at 104. So every year's different, right? We proof it to where it tastes best. And this year, that's where we landed with it. So
Wow.
I haven't opened the bottle yet. So
Very
this is
exciting.
a moment, right?
This is wow! Look at that. First time that's been opened. So we're looking at 100. You said 119 barrels.
Yes, 119 barrels that went into this batch. And that's about a standard size batch for birthday.
Standard size batch.
It's a 12-year-old product, though, this year. So we're coming back to that. This lot just needed that time, and it's good to go.
That's exciting. So again, if you're watching us, you know that it's going to be a little hard to find than some things, but well worth the journey. I'm always excited about it. Do you tell approximately how many cases come out of this one?
It depends on what we proof it at. And then those barrels, after that long in a heat cycled warehouse don't really yield a whole much. So I'm not going to give the number because I don't want people knowing and arguing about it. You know what I mean? It's a very weird time of year. We're very happy to release it, but we make so many people upset because we don't ever release enough of it. It's not done on purpose. It's just not a lot to go around. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Well, the amazing thing is this is the Old Forester bourbon. This is the Old Forester bourbon recipe. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if you can't find this one, there's so many other great Old Foresters we'll talk about. But let's go ahead and try this and tell me about the bourbon. What makes it, what you think makes it different from the other years. I was pleased to have you on last year and try it. And then 2 years ago, we had a little celebration there at your distillery, and you wore a hat and everything, and we had a confetti thrown. Which was great.
Back in the day when we could have birthday parties together.
I'll bring some confetti next time I come see you.
Perfect.
I will. But
I hope I randomly run into you and it's at like the grocery store or something, and
I'll have some in my pocket.
Confetti in my face.
You'll be so shocked, and then you'll have Old Forester birthday bourbon in your pocket too. We'll both be really shocked.
Exactly. So this year's is quite different from last year's. Last year's was more of a escapism in a bottle. There was a lot of tropical fruit notes going on. This year's is more straightforward. The dessert qualities that come with it really capture a lot of dark berry fruit. Old Forester has a lot of fruit-forward notes to it for being a bourbon. Thank you to our Old Forester yeast strain. But you're getting a lot of sort of this like Linzer cookie notes, some really great dessert qualities combined with sort of that candied and jellied raspberry attribute. So it's an exciting one. There's some dry, dusty cocoa that comes through on it as well. And of course, it's Old Forester, so it's going to have a little bit of a spice backbone to it because of that rye in the mash. So it's interesting. It's definitely got a long finish to it. I'll give you that. But I don't know. Take a sip. I mean, I love to hear what people think.
Yeah, and if tell us down below if you've tried other Old Forester birthday bourbons. Tell us among your favorites. I know there's been a lot of them that we have tried, or just tell us your favorite Old Forester. Again, limited quantities of this, but be watching for it across the country. I saw you said Linzer. Are you a big fan of Linzer cookies? How did you stumble on Linzer cookies? Those are. I mean, I like those, but I don't always think about those.
Well, I mean, when you go to do tasting notes, you use your bank of whatever your sensory descriptors are. And I am a person with a really bad sweet tooth, I guess. And like a lot of my tasting note descriptors usually lean into that. So
cookies, cookies,
yeah, it's fantastic. But it's an interesting expression this year. I definitely will say that it was well worth the wait. And obviously, the world is still kind of in a strange place with everything going on with the pandemic, but you will never miss a birthday bourbon bottling. I'll give you that.
That's right. We're always on top of those. The Old Forester birthday bourbons, usually around 12 years old. Sometimes they fluctuate, but it's usually that 12-year-old mark.
Yep, it's anywhere between 9 and 14.
Right.
But I think once people started actually paying attention to it, there was a run of 12-year-old bottlings in a row. And so everyone assumed that, but it's been kind of all across the board.
And we know what happens to bourbon as it gets older. I mean, in general, but when it comes to the Old Forester recipe, I mean, what do you think? What are you specifically looking for as you're tasting older and older barrels, Jackie? What are you looking for?
Yep. So that fruit compound that's going on there. So Old Forester yeast strain is going to give us a lot of fruit precursors, but the older it's going to be, so the more time spent in the barrel, the more oxidized it's going to get. We do what's called heat cycled warehousing, so it's a little bit different. So our flavors develop in a little bit of a different way. We lose a lot more to evaporation than, the standard distillery does. So with that comes those fruits, but they develop into these really great jammy and dried fruit character, and they're not so fresh and crisp and bright in your face. A good example of this, if anyone out there is familiar with the Old Forester 86, just good old everyday Olfo, the fruit in that is much more bright. It's more Granny Smith apple. When you start getting into 1920, into birthday bourbon, into President's Choice, you're getting into the fig and raisin and notes like that. And like this, like raspberry jelly, literally, they start to really develop that way. So it's fun to watch them kind of grow and get sort of dimensional over time, for sure.
The beautiful fruit notes you're looking for, that jammy, that fig, almost sometimes raisin-like. I mean, there's some beautiful notes it can take on. The standard releases, of course, even the 86, those are around what age then? What's that a blend of?
86 is the youngest we go. And since we're a straight bourbon whiskey, that is 4 years old. But because of heat cycled warehousing, the maturation profile on it drinks like a 6-year-old, not a 4-year-old. So it's interesting. That's why I always bring up the maturation process. It's really, really key to the flavor development of Old Forester.
Right. And then the warehouse cycling, that's something that Old Forester's always done?
Yep. So the warehouses we have down in Shively are heat cycled. It's not a new practice. It's something that's been going on for a very long time. And a lot of other people used to do it too. It's just that it's something that costs money, right? So a lot of people dropped off. We think that it gives us character that is incomparable in the competitive set. So we've maintained doing it. And so basically what that means is your bourbon barrels don't sit cold and dormant all through winter. We turn the heat on and off. So you introduce seasonality between October and April.
Excellent. And again, this week it comes out September 2nd. Is that Thursday?
It is. It is
Thursday. And there'll be some released at the distillery.
Yes. We always release a little bit. You got to celebrate the birthday, but
got to have a few.
Outside of that, we honestly have no say on who releases it when. So let the hunt begin, I guess. I don't know.
The hunt begin. How many people, years past, I mean, what do you think the line will look like? Will people sleep out overnight? What are we going to see come Thursday morning?
So we started actually having people come up on Saturday. So days and days and days, almost a full week before the actual release of it. But the city doesn't take too kindly to you sleeping on the sidewalk out there outside the distillery. So I think they've broken up the line a couple of times now. But
so there were people out on Saturday. this past Saturday.
Yeah, there were people out setting up tents on Saturday to sit in line. Everyone's got a system. It's actually very interesting, the complexities of the waiting in line for an allocated bourbon system that goes on down there. But I don't know. It'll be 100 people, 200 people. I can't say how much we're releasing. We're releasing a good amount of bottles, but we do pretty good about making sure we check in with the crowd and say, hey, you're at this point in line. It's up to you whether you want to
actually
yeah, it's hot outside. We don't want people just out there for no reason. It's
sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess what are they? So there's a particular line that's just for that because are you open other days of the week this week, right?
Oh yeah, we're open other days of the week, but these literally from the front door of Old Forester, and then it goes left down the block of Main Street.
That's incredible. Yeah, well, maybe we'll get some of those photos and put them up underneath this story that maybe you have. I mean, it'd be fun to see. Have you gone out and talked to some of these folks, or have you?
Yeah, I did it when we did the last 117 series. And I don't know. I just like to say thank you to them. I'm not out there to encourage people to be out there. I just, especially with that series, that's my baby, and so I just want to say thank you to people. And you can always tell who's in line, like. To flip the bottle right when they get it, you know what I mean? Because they're like, go away, I don't care. Like, get out of here.
Or the true enthusiast. Maybe, I mean, did they ever bring anything to pour for you? Like, hey, we happen to bring some of this. Want to try some?
No one's ever brought me a street pour whiskey. But, maybe next time. I don't know.
So everybody listening, if you happen to be one of the diehard collectors, maybe bring Jackie a little sample of something that is from years and years ago. Some of these people may even have a bottle from every year. It could happen. I mean, there's probably a few people that you've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a few. This K series, tell us about that, the new one you did.
Oh, the 117. So this adorable little bottle. So this is the distillery only series that we started doing back last March. And so we're on our second run of it that just went through and sold out the day we released it. There will be more. I just can't say what it is or when it is, but don't worry, the year's not over yet for Old Forester. That's all I'm gonna say.
What did you love about that pick? What are you excited about on that one?
So, well, it just gives me a chance to show people kind of the side of Old Forester that I get to see. And it's not about being novelty and doing weird, crazy, unorthodox flavors. It's more so these are the different trends that I notice with particular types of barrels in our inventory. And I just kind of want to give that in a small little sneak peek. Right. So this last one was a batch of nothing but Warehouse K barrels. Warehouse K has kind of grown this cult following through our single barrel program and give the people what they want, right? So yeah, so there's that one. The other one was a high angel share. So those are all my barrels that were too low to actually be processed as single barrels, batched together, and talk about a very concentrated bourbon profile if I've ever tasted one. It was intense. That one might not be over. Just saying.
There might be some. Those are what ages of barrels you put in those?
They run the gamut. So they're 5 to 8 year olds. It's kind of whatever makes sense in that blend. I'm not trying to hit a specific age target with them. I'm just trying to hit a flavor balance.
Right. But whether it's these that you're mentioning or others, there's usually some type of a single barrel release at Old Forester people can check out. Is that right?
Yep. We usually do have sort of they're called the MTS, Master Taster Selection single barrels. We usually have those in stock at the distillery. They're either 100 proof or barrel strength. We should be rolling out a couple more before the year's over.
Nice. Yeah, those are good. I've tried some of those with you, and those are typically, what, 5 to 8 as well?
Yeah, somewhere in there. Those are just unicorn barrels that I hide and
you just really love.
Finally have to bottle.
Nice. So it sounds like a few more good single barrels. You said the MTS series?
Well, that's just Old Forester single barrel that you buy out of the retail shop. Yep. Yeah, but if it says MTS on it,
and then a few other more limited that you're doing just the distillery. So if for some reason you get in line or you head by the distillery or you just can't find the birthday bourbon, we all wish you luck and greatness on that. If you're watching, there's so much more. If you get towards the distillery, there's tours open in a somewhat normal capacity, right? Tell us about that.
Yep. So, I mean, we're trying to be as safe as we can because we are a full-fledged production site. So tour sizes, group sizes are a little bit smaller. And with that being said, we are pretty booked up. So if you want to come and visit us this fall, go ahead and get online and get your tickets in now, because I think we're booked up for a while.
Booked for a while. So you're thinking, if you're going to be, if you know your plans a month or two in advance, go ahead and do that. You can book a ways in advance. Even in the last year and a half, it's people have booked out more and more, right? What do you?
Yeah. And I mean, we're trying, like I said, we are doing all of our bottling of all of our specialty stuff there, our single barrels there. The Whiskey Rogue gets bottled there. And so, of course, we're also still distilling bourbon. So we need to make sure that we protect our production staff more than anything right now, because we can't give it to you to drink if we don't have it made. So bear with us, be patient. We're doing our best to just make sure everybody's taken care of and we're being smart about stuff.
Yeah, and I think, and I've been hearing, from Old Forester, from other distilleries in Kentucky and elsewhere, it's amazing. People missed visiting distilleries over the year and a half they couldn't, or the year they couldn't, and now they're back. They're visiting distilleries, so it's great to see. It's great to see that this is one of the things, and we know it is a Bourbon Blog. We know it's one of the things that's missed so much. But do book ahead of time. I can't wait to hear what the release is like. What else is going on your way? Are you traveling? Are you mainly there tasting? What else is new in Jackie's world?
A little bit of everything. So work travel has been suspended for the moment, just with the COVID situation, but I still travel personally, I guess. I don't sit still very well, so I like to still get out there. Outside of that, no, I'm still just making my rounds between Shively and then our corporate headquarters and then the distillery downtown. So on any given day, I am somewhere within that triangle.
Excellent stuff. Well, I am looking forward to seeing you soon, Jackie. I'll get by and we'll try some more whiskeys together, and show that bottle just one more time, if you would, please, just to whet the appetite, to make everyone very excited. Look at that. It's beautiful bottle. It's green. It changes up a little bit every year, and delicious stuff indeed. I'll also bring you my review on Bourbon Blog, probably as you're watching this. It'll be up soon on the Old Forester Birthday Bourbon 2021. Just so happens it's the 21st year of this, and so many more great years to come. Jackie, thank you so much for joining us on Bourbon Blog Live.
Thank you very, very much for having me. And cheers, everyone out there. Happy hunting.
Happy hunting and happy birthday. Yeah, happy
birthday. That's right.
That's right. Well done. Well done with all the whiskeys you're doing there, Jackie. You're doing great work.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks so much for